Hey folks, it is the Nutty Knife Guy. No videos in 2 weeks, I know, but I was going to use the work post for those, and on Sundays, which is usually when I record, and cats and dogs. Through the week I just didn't have the time. But I'm here today. And even though it's nice out, this is not going to be a war post video. And the reason for that is the knife that I'm going to show you today really isn't fairly tested at the war post. And that knife is the Ka-Bar TDI Pocket Strike. And I will look at my notes here. We've got a 3.18 inch blade, overall length of 7.75 inches with AUS 8 steel. It's got the ring, but you really don't use this like a karambit. You can hold it in a saber grip or a handshake grip, but I really think it's meant in reverse grip. But the knife itself isn't terribly unique. It's the sheath and the deployment system. They call it the pocket strike because you keep it in your pocket, and it's got these hooks on either side of the sheath. And when the idea is you keep this in your pocket with the pocket clip. The clip is not supposed to hold it in the pocket. The clip is just to keep it from moving around too much in your pocket. And you keep it in your pocket like so. I don't know if you can see that or not. But you clip it in your pocket with the sheath inside your pocket. I've got this rigged for left-handed carry, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But the idea is, right, see if I can back any more. I got my target back here I'm backing into. Yeah, I think you can see that well enough. But the idea is you find your knife, index through the hole, right? Those hooks hug on your pocket and it deploys. Now this is not a camp knife, it's not a survival knife. It's not even a fighting knife. This is a close quarters, last ditch knife. I call it a weapon retention knife. This is intended for law enforcement or military, primarily for law enforcement, I think, to be a close-in weapon if they find where they can't employ their firearm or they're wrestling for their firearm. That happens quite a bit. Now, this is an airsoft gun, so any of the gun safety people out there, not a real gun. Okay. I use this for training, for practice on some of the drills I'm going to show you and a few other things. Well, I'm not going to show you the drill, I'll just kind of go through it. But a lot of the times officers get jumped and somebody tries to take their gun away from them. If there's more than one, or they get taken by surprise and they're trying to get their gun out and the guy jams their draw stroke. Right? And the whole idea behind this is if somebody's grabbing your gun, yeah, you can go into kind of the standard drills and do the jiu-jitsu stuff to try and get your gun back. Right? If you don't want to do that or it just doesn't work, then the idea is you deploy the pocket strike, start stabbing him, particularly going for the face and throat, maybe slash him across the arms, to encourage the lizardman, zombie, ninja, or other assailant to let go of your firearm. And that's why I've got this rigged for my weak side. Because if you're using it for a weapons retention knife, stick it back in here. If you're using it for a weapons retention knife, then you're going to want it on your weak side. You want to keep control of your weapon, hold of your weapon with your strong side. And now, this looks like a karambit, but that's not really what the karambit. This is just really, you really have to use the ring to deploy it from the sheath on this knife. But I've found, again, airsoft. an unloaded airsoft, right, that instead of having to drop the knife or fire one-handed once you get your gun free, that because of the ring you can get a decent two-handed grip on your gun if you have to employ it. And if you have multiple attackers, you might want this again, because this can go in all directions. You have got to get that muzzle pointed, and you're still responsible for every round that comes out of your gun. Right now, if you have time to flip it over, this is a very nice way to retain your knife and still be able to use your firearm correctly. So I've been carrying this around for about 2 weeks now, and it's worked pretty well in that. Now, there's some drawbacks. It doesn't ride exactly the same way in every pair of pants. Your pants are cut differently, the pockets are in different spaces, different places. So you do have to kind of slap your ankle, find the knife, find the hole. That takes practice. And making sure that you hook that lip of the pocket with the hooks on the sheath to deploy also takes some practice. So if you're law enforcement, you're military, you're going to use this, you've got to spend some time with it. Just practicing that deployment. Second is, it takes up the whole pocket. You're not going to be keeping anything else in that pocket except this thing. But it will do what it's supposed to do. If you're uniform patrol, you don't have to worry about pants being cut different, because they're exactly the same kind of pants. If you're plain clothes and you want to carry this off duty, it's very discreet, but you do have to understand that it's going to be slightly different positioning for each pair of pants. If you are a civilian self-protector and you don't want to carry a gun and carry a knife, you can rig this and carry for your strong siphon and do just fine for that. So it's I like this thing quite a bit. I think it's going to be a part of my regularly carried stuff. I don't know if EDC, but it's going to be something I will be carrying on a regular basis. It is discreet, it is reliable, and it's a fixed blade. Even if you're carrying a pocket sword like the Luzon, which I will review, it is cold steel Luzon, and yes, this is quite comfortable to carry every day. A fixed blade will always be faster and more reliable, just the way it is. Now this thing is not properly tested on the Warpost because it is basically a really single function knife. It is to create distance so you can run, so you can deploy another weapon. Okay, so all of the stuff on the Warpost, feather sticking and all that I usually do, just not appropriate for this knife. However, I do have a target here. I've got the enemy water bottle, and I've got 4 layers of cardboard attached to it. And I am going to use my left side, so this might look a little awkward. But I'm just going to do a few jabs and a rip with this thing just to show you what it can do. And we'll see. Now there went my cardboard. We'll look at that in a minute, but you can see it got all the way through the cardboard and it's leaking. And that was with my left hand, so this thing is swinging quite a bit. We'll try a couple of slashes, but you can see, right, I'm thinking I'm almost going all the way through this thing. Kind of hitting in the same place over and over again. Yeah, left hand, of course I missed. Now this thing isn't a slasher. That almost made it through. Just to see if it can slash halfway decent, I'm going to switch to the right hand. Yeah, this thing is not a good cutter. I mean, it is sharp. You know, it's a Ka-Bar, it came sharp. And yes, I'll have to clean up the mess after I'm done here. But I'll show you the cardboard. It did go all the way through the cardboard. I guess you can see that. To puncture this, and that was with my left hand. I'm not the greatest with my left hand, as you can obviously see. But that's what this thing is for. You can imagine if you would become a bad guy, and I know you guys are just imagining. If you're watching my channel, you've got to be good people. Well, you can see if you're trying to wrestle with somebody or accost them in any way or take their gun away. Just imagine that coming at your face over and over again, or coming underneath, getting into your guts or your femoral triangle, or the femoral triangle of a lizardman zombie ninja. A last ditch, close quarters, get the hell away from me knife. And so yeah, this knife is something that I would recommend. This one was actually sent to me by a viewer who had just graduated a police academy and wanted to know my opinion about this knife particularly as a weapons retention tool. A great young man, and he knows who he is. I will say yes, with the caveats. I don't know what happened there, but yeah, be ready to have nothing else in your pocket, and you have to practice with this thing, especially if you're using it with your weak hand, with your non-dominant hand. It takes a while to get that draw stroke, the index knife, to find the whole loop. But if you do that, yeah, this thing is actually pretty awesome. And with that, I will leave you with my admonishment to draw your knives only in just purpose. Sheathe them only with honor. And remember, without knives, life would be dull and pointless. Please like, share, and subscribe. That makes me happy and helps me out and feeds the almighty YouTube algorithm. I bid you goodbye.